Hey guys, how's it going? So, Smallgate released a bunch of stuff today, and a lot of them I'm really excited about. And I was kind of excited about the Awaken Potential system, because I think it has a lot of good things about it. I think it's a great idea, but maybe implemented very, very poorly. The more I've been thinking about it, the more I'm seeing more and more holes in their plan, and problems that could cause a lot of issues among players. So, I think overall the idea is great of giving some of these really not that useful characters like Ravi or Crow. Like, you don't see much of them. They're very weak. Sure, you could buff them, but this is another way of improving them a lot. And I think it's an interesting idea by making it so you have a second awakening system, and they get a special like passive essentially, and it takes time to farm. I think that's kind of cool, and I like the idea. I think it's a really almost elegant way of helping some of these downtrodden old characters that are just so out of the game. But there's a lot of problems here. So the first problem I would like to highlight that is probably the biggest is, why does it have imprints tied to it? So I'm kind of fine with it in a way, but also not. Let me explain why. The parts that I don't like about it is, why do you need an imprint for something so impactful? This is a very Genshin Honkai level imprint. In a game like Genshin, you have a character like Hu Tao that if you don't have her first imprint or constellation, she kind of feels crappy to play. And this is kind of the same for a character like Crow right here. His zero imprint thing, it's good. But not starting the game with it, that's a huge difference. That's the difference between basically like winning or losing the game. Like, you wouldn't pick him most of the time if he doesn't start the battle with escort, so what's the point, right? So this is kind of the same thing where you need imprints. And I will say this, for a really old character that people just inevitably have a lot of dupes of randomly from pulling stuff, a lot of people probably have multiple Crows who have been playing this game for a while. So on some level, I'm kind of okay with that. And I'm sort of okay with them adding extra stats for imprints, because imprints already give some stats, so it adds a little bit more stats. It's a slippery slope, but I'm kind of okay with it. This is a little more because this is actually a special bonus, but even for Crow, that's not too big of a deal. But I think a huge problem making it so that everybody feels like they need imprints with that. Another thing that they said that this, I would also maybe consider this to be a pretty big problem, is they said that this allows you to awaken a hero's potential approximately every 4 weeks. So it takes 4 weeks of farming to max out one character's. That's a lot. And that's assuming that they're actually saying fully max it out in 4 weeks. Now, that said, the third one is the most important, so I think a lot of people will probably split it up, and they'll go, maybe that means you can max a character every 2 weeks if you're only going to level 3, which would actually be really big for a lot of people. But, you know, to get all those extra bonuses, 4 weeks per character, and they're releasing 4 characters at a time with this bonus, with, I believe they said 16 weeks in between, which would mean you actually have time to max out all those characters before the next one. Well, do you though? This brings to the third possible problem with this. So they're saying, we plan to regularly implement Awaken Potential for existing heroes, and newly added Covenant Limited heroes will have the Awaken Potential feature upon their release. Who asked? That right there is the biggest problem with this whole system, more than anything else. The other things, you could say pay to win or not, other problems with that. This is the part that makes me really, really concerned. Our objective is to ensure that all heroes can benefit from this potential awakening. So this is essentially a battle pass. What I mean by that is battle passes exist when you make a game and then you take features out, you put them into a battle pass, and you sell that to the players. That's what this is. If the characters have this as a thing that they can just get, then why the hell do they not just start with max? Either they start with the max Awaken Potential, or why do they even have Awaken Potential at all? Shouldn't this be for old characters that suck? Why would you make new characters that apparently suck already, and then they need Awaken Potential? That doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. It's blatantly obvious that you're taking features out of their skill set. Either you're taking features out of their skill set and putting them in Awaken Potential, or they're completely broken when you get their Awaken Potential and they're already good on release or something. This doesn't really make any sense. And also, it means that as new characters come out and new characters get added to the thing, this means you can't even max everybody. Like, even if you're a giant whale, you can't, because you can only enter the Spirit Altar thing 5 times a week, so it's time gated. Of course, they'll probably add a pack that's like, here's a bunch of Spirit Altar currency or some crap. Let's hope they don't do that. But essentially, that means that you can't even max all the characters that are coming out, which is kind of stupid. That doesn't really make any sense. I guess the fourth problem would be that increasing the stats of all these characters like this, it makes an even bigger gap between specially changed characters and 4-star characters, which is also kind of a problem. So does that mean that 4 stars are eventually just kind of going to be worse than all 5 stars? And a lot of specially changes also. Already a lot of specially changes are not that good that they make, and we don't even get many specially changes total. We're about to get a specially change Christie, but like, is she going to be outdated based on these awakening things? And so going back to point 3 though, so when Fumir comes out, which I believe was leaked as the next character, does that mean that I have to pull 2 Fumirs? What if Fumir's B passive right here is the whole opponent's team starts with the battle with all their buffs stripped? I know that's like a ridiculous power, and if they did that, everyone would uninstall the game, but I'm just saying, realistically, like, are they just going to take things out of her skill set and put them in there? Or like, suddenly one of your skills seals or something, so you have to pull 2 Fumirs for her to work? Now, we don't exactly know how the system works where you're able to get some free imprints now, but like, you should be able to farm imprints faster than what it seems to say here. We don't know how many it's going to take, but apparently you're even going to be able to get some of these imprint shards from side story. But if you could farm up a ton in advance for characters, so like they're, you know, I guess like characterless imprints that you can use for anybody, then you'd be able to do that for characters before they come out, and then maybe it's a little more okay. But even then, this seems like an overcomplication. I really like the idea of adding base stats to characters and new passives and stuff for some of these 5 stars that are just, you know, not very good and that need bonuses. But like, what the hell are you doing when you make it so that new characters have this? And new limiteds? Like, what the hell? New limiteds, dude. So like, in the update video, we saw like a new Lidica and like Akadi's sister. So let's say Akadi's sister is the new limited. So does that mean there's no other Akadi's sister units in the game? So she doesn't have any other imprints. So what does that mean? That I have to pull 2 of Akadi's sister or something like that for her B imprint if it's something good? That seems so idiotic. I don't really understand that. This is another case of Smallgate coming up with something very good in theory, and I feel like poor implementation. Keep in mind, this is all before it's out, so like, hey, maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, but I don't think I'm really overreacting. I think this is a pretty level-headed way of looking at this. I really like the idea, but like, there's some very concerning things. But all in all, great idea, but we're gonna see when it actually comes out if this game just became the most pay-to-win thing ever and total crap, or if this is actually a well-implemented system. I'm incredibly concerned. This feels like one of the most pay-to-win Chinese server additions they could have added. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, well, that's also another problem with it. I feel like I keep seeing more problems with it the more I look into it, but these are all the problems I see right now. Now, I would love to be wrong. 100%, I hope I'm completely wrong about all of this, and it's an amazing system, because in theory, it's really cool. In practice, it sounds like Genshin and Honkai Constellation system, and they're just trying to get a bigger piece of the pie for some more money. And Epic 7 is a game that I think a lot of people can tout is the most free-to-play PvP gacha that's actually good, right? Not just some crap shovelware free-to-play PvP gacha or something. Because this is a PvP game, not a PvE game, and so these things matter way more. If it's PvE, nobody cares. If this came out in a PvE game, nobody cares. But in Epic 7, which is a much more competitive game, you have the World Cup, all those other things, it starts to matter a lot more. And yeah, a little bit concerning seeing that maybe newer characters need imprints. Not a huge fan of that, so I suppose we'll see. Tell me what you think, though, and thanks a bunch for watching.